From Journey with VRD, you're listening to the Visions, Missions, and Manifestations podcast, the number one place for spirituality, healing, and transcendence. I'm your host, Vivian Raquel Dayan. Now let's get into it. Hello, everyone. We're back on the Visions, Missions, and Manifestations podcast. As you know, I'm your host, Vivian Raquel Dayan, and I cannot wait to jump into today's episode with Morgan, really learning on how your mess becomes your message through her inspirational journey. She is full of incredible wisdom. She is brave. She's resilient. She's strong. And honestly, she is an incredible human being that your minds are going to be blown listening to her journey through time. Okay, before we get into this incredible episode, I just wanted to share some of the amazing things that have been happening, not only in my life, but in the Journey with VRD universe. As you all know, our secret society membership is popping off. I cultivated this membership, the secret society community, because I've had so many people message me that they wanted a place where they could be amongst like-minded people who are on this manifestation journey. So in this community group, everybody is sharing what they're going through, sharing their big wins that are inspiring other members to dream even bigger and to cultivate more magnetic energy into their life. What I love about this membership is we get to meet face to face through Zoom at least twice a month. At this point, weekly, we are hopping on Zoom calls and we are going through manifesting money, manifesting abundance, manifesting ease and joy and grace, manifesting relationships. Tonight, we're crafting our manifestation list. So it's the perfect opportunity for you to hop into the manifestation world, learn the right way to manifest. And I say right way because I see manifestation tips and tricks being poured out on the internet. And I'm like, no, 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 no. That is the biggest myth. Do not even do that. No, no, no. For example, you cannot manifest a specific person. If somebody tells you, give me your money because I'm going to help you manifest a specific person, run. Because you cannot manifest for anybody else but yourself because of this thing called free will. Um, but yeah, this community is so much fun. It's a place where I love to hop in and answer your manifestation questions on the daily, Monday through Friday. And it's just become one of my favorite places to be. All of my classes are free for community members. So if you're somebody who's been paying that $50 rate weekly to be in on these calls, that's all included in this membership. So if you'd like to join, I'll put the link in the show notes and you'll go right in. It's so much fun. If you have any questions at all, you can direct message me on Instagram. The other thing I really want to share that I'm beaming through my skin on, if you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify, you could probably see like my cheeks are glowing right now as I'm thinking about this. But on June 16th, it's a Monday at 7 p.m. in New York City, I'll be hosting a live manifestation event. This is going to be the most elite manifestation event of the year. It's in person. So you guys are going to come. I'm going to do a Q&A. I'm going to take you through a quantum shift. So you're going to elevate, you're going to rise, you're going to be up leveling in real time and feel that transformation in the event. We're going to have mocktails and cocktails and a pre-party for our VIPers. So I'm really excited about that. I'm going to put the link in the show notes to sign up. I think we only have a couple spots left. Seats are like being taken. I cannot wait to see you all there and hug you in person and get into your energy and manifest with you in real time. So I'll put the show notes there. And without further ado, let's pop into today's episode. On today's podcast episode, we have Miss, but soon to be Mrs. Morgan Brady on our show. I met Morgan at the conference last month and was instantly drawn to her. When I found out she was a love coach, it just all clicked and made so much sense because on a professional and friendship level, I was instantly in love with her and could clearly see that she is a product of her work and what she helps her clients with. As our longtime listeners know, on the show, we like to break down the journey of successful industry leaders so that the listener can begin to see to believe what's possible for them, or how Lacey Phillips puts it, potentially find expanders. So, Morgan, to get started, can you please let us know your sun, moon, and rising sign?
You know what? Thank you so much for that beautiful intro. I don't even remember what my other signs were, because I know we talked about it at the pool, but I'm a Leo, and then I think I'm a Cancer rising, maybe. And I
Mm.
don't remember the other
I
one.
do remember that. I do remember at the pool we were talking and discussing and discovering. I love that. So, okay, just so people get a little bit taste of who you are, what do you call yourself? What's your title? What do you now do? How are you servicing?
Absolutely. So I am a love, relationship, and dating coach. And what I help women with, my favorite thing ever in the whole entire world is helping women break the toxic relationship and ultimately create the most epic love affair of their life. So it really, I mean, women come to me through all walks of life. They're at different stages in their journey, and I help them no matter where they're at, whether they are wanting to leave a toxic relationship, whether they are leaving, but they want to heal their heart, whether they want to feel whole and complete on their own, or they're ready to date, they're ready for their epic love affair. I meet you where you're at, because there's so many little nuances to the journey.
Yes, and I'm obsessed with your epic love affair. I just love the way that rolls off the tongue, and it got me excited the second you said it. The second you said it, I was just like, yes, eating that all up. Why don't we dive deep into your journey because you have a really inspiring, brave journey as to how you became a love coach, helping people with their toxic relationships.
Thank you. So, my journey is something I hold near and dear to my heart. I truly believe that our mess becomes our message. So, from very, very young, I struggled with toxic relationships from like the time I was in middle school all the way to my mid 20s. And so, it started off with, chasing the bad boy who was the skateboarder who would pick everyone but me. And I'd like wait by the phone to get a little text message from him that really never came. But when it did, I'd like jump at it as an opportunity and try to perform to make him like me, right? And then it actually got extensively worse as time went on. From my freshman year in high school, I got involved with a very toxic person who was emotionally, physically, and sexually abusive to me, and that really just created a whole slew of issues. I would continue to attract men who were worse and worse and worse until I was around 20 years old, and I was on a trip with a guy I was in a situationship with, and um, I confronted him about texting his ex-girlfriend, who turned out to be his girlfriend, and he threw me into a bathtub and gave me a severe concussion. And as I laid in my bedroom, I had to go to the hospital, I had to fly home, all these things, right? And so as I had to lay in my pitch black room, I had a 3-year-old daughter at the time. Um, I had to take a long, hard look at myself and say, what the hell am I doing? I have this little girl who needs me. Her father left. And that was a really abusive situation as well. And I was the only one for her to look up to be a role model. And so I'm really actually grateful I had that experience because it woke me the fuck up. And I really needed that kind of thing to hit me so deeply so that I could change my ways, right? And so after that, I decided I was going to quit smoking cigarettes. I struggled with drug and alcohol addiction for 13 years of my life, as well as severe bulimia. And so that was really the start of healing all of those things. Was I quit smoking cigarettes. I enrolled myself in cosmetology school. And so I really started to build my self-esteem in that moment because I actually was going for something. And so once I decided that I was no longer going to be with abusive men because I had 4 abusive relationships by the time I was 21, I stopped attracting abusive men. However, I was still attracting emotionally unavailable men. So the men who weren't abusive to me, but they still were not giving me what I needed. They still weren't giving me what I wanted. I didn't, my standards weren't very high. So I would get into these situationships where we would hang out constantly and we would talk on the phone for hours, but he would call me his best friend. Even though we were sleeping together, we were going on vacations. He would buy me lavish gifts, and my daughter was involved in all the things. And so there came a day where I was like, I am the common denominator. Like, I would always blame men. I would always, be like, oh, men are such jerks. They're such douchebags. Like, why does this keep happening to me? I really had a victim mentality for a long time. And it's like one day it just clicked.
Mm.
I am the common denominator. And once I had that realization, it changed my life because I think a lot of people can be triggered by that. However, I felt really liberated because I was like, if I'm the problem, then I'm also the solution. That means that I'm not at the mercy of men or life, and I can actually create what I want. And so it was a long, painful journey. There was a lot of uncovering, there was a lot of rewiring, but ultimately, it led me to where I am today, where I have a six-figure business. I've had it for the last 5.5 years. I've worked with hundreds of women. And my favorite part of all of this is that I'm engaged to the love of my life, my daughter, for the first time in her life. Oh, it's going to make me cry. She's going to have a dad, he's going to adopt her. And we're getting married in October. And so I have to say that all of everything that I went through, I would do it again and again and again if it led me to this exact moment.
Oh my gosh. Just taking a breath, integrating this all in, like you are 1000% right. Our mess is our message. You went from the bottom of the bottom,
Yeah,
you picked yourself up, you went from blacking out, drugs and alcohol, the worst type of men, to building a six-figure business, to building up your self-esteem, to manifesting the most aligned, perfect partner for you, who chooses your family, who's adopting your daughter, who you're getting married to in October. And now you get to inspire and help and transform so many women who have lost hope or just maybe don't think it's possible for them. And
yeah.
this is huge. And I want to break down your story just a little bit more. I'm curious to know why you think that from the get-go you were choosing men who you just wanted to pick you or who were emotionally unavailable and couldn't give you the things that you needed.
Absolutely. So I always tell my clients that our relationship blueprint was developed in childhood. And so the possibilities of where it could stem from in your childhood is endless, because trauma looks different to everyone. It's not about what we experienced, it's about how we internalized it. And so for me, I grew up in a very strict religious household, and I love my parents, and looking at these patterns and where it stems from is not to blame them. It's really to look at, to have the awareness. And so I was heavily criticized a lot. I never felt like I was good enough. I kind of from the very beginning was very performative. I was the youngest of five, and so I was always there to make everyone laugh. And but I also on the flip side of that was I always felt like I was the annoying younger sister who no one wanted to pay attention to, no one wanted to play with. I felt like I was annoying. I felt like I was that I never fit in. And I carried that for a really long time. And so from the very beginning, I had a very low self-esteem. Starting in sixth grade was when I started to feel very depressed and I started self-harming. And so it wasn't long after that that I started, really looking to men, or that time boys, to escape. It was a lot of escapism that I experienced in my life. And because I didn't really know what drugs and alcohol was at that point, the first thing was boys. And then it all kind of came together with boys, drugs, alcohol, all the things. So it did start very early on in my life, as it does with most people. And that's what we really have to look at first and foremost before we try to go out on these dating apps and all the things. If you have a history of painful relationships, we have to go back to the scene of the original wound, and we have to heal and soothe our inner child on that subconscious level. Otherwise, she will always be in the driver's seat, no matter what. She'll be in the driver's seat trying to protect you, trying to get her unmet needs met from childhood.
Mhm. And so what it sounds like is once you were able to provide yourself with the needs that you weren't having met, you
Hmm.
were able to own back the story, the narrative in your life.
Absolutely.
I think for a lot of people listening to this or watching this, it could be like, well, of course, it worked out for her, you know? What tools did you use in order to go from victim, like I just attract these shitty guys or God is punishing me or whatever it is,
Yeah.
to no, I'm gonna own my shit and mother effing rock it. I'm gonna build a legacy, an empire.
Yeah, and I think what it really came down to was I was sick of my own bullshit. And when a lot of people stop at awareness, right? So they have the awareness and they're like, I know that this is where it comes from, but I can't do anything. I'm still experiencing the same stuff. And so it's not that and I always say this, I wasn't some special unicorn that this stuff happened for. There was a lot of setbacks. It wasn't a smooth sailing experience once I decided. How it took me 10 years to develop the knowledge that I have now, the path that I have now. And so because it took me 10 years and you know about $100,000 of personal development and trial and error, I created a path that helps my clients do what took me 10 years plus in 6 months. Sometimes
Hmm.
less, sometimes more, but more or less it's 6 months, right? And so it took the desire for a better life. My desire for a better life had to be stronger than my desire for going back to the familiar. And I think a lot of us have to get to a point where we're sick of our own shit. In 2018, I was ready to leave this world. It's crazy to think about because I had reached an all-time low. My daughter's father had just took his own life and things felt so hard. And it was the bottom of the bottom. And it just really caused me to feel defeated in life. And, it's when you realize that there is people out there who have been through what you've been through and have gotten what you've always wanted. Gabby Bernstein was my first, as Lacey would say, expander.
Hmm.
And I started reading her books, and it was like, oh my gosh, she experienced codependency. She experienced some of the stuff that I experienced. And so that really gave me hope that if it could happen for her, then it could happen for me. And my daughter was a big driving factor for me of me wanting to be able to make sure that she didn't carry on the same patterns that I did. And for those of you who don't have children, if you want to have children in the future, you don't want to just pick the first person that you want to hold on to that you think is going to make everything better. It's like you owe your future children and your future self a strong, healthy, high value partner who will be a good father, who will be a good partner, who will, having your partner is basically the co-author of your life. And so the quality of your relationships determines the quality of your everyday. And so we really do owe it to ourselves to work on our patterns, look at our shit, and maybe you won't get it your first try, your second try, but it's all about taking the learning lessons away from what you're experiencing and saying, okay, now I see, now I understand why I experienced this. It was so it could teach me this. Oh, I see where I'm falling into this pattern here. This is what I have to change. And of course,
Hmm.
having support so you don't have to go through that trial and error as heavily. Because of course we're always going to have it when we're dating and getting into relationships. We're always going to have that trial and error. That's how we ultimately refine what it is that we're truly desiring, because what we think we want sometimes isn't actually what's the best for us. And so I
Hmm.
would say for anybody who thinks that it's just because somehow I got lucky or somebody they know got lucky, it really is because there's determination, there's consistency, and there's a willingness to do something different.
Ah, clap. Mic drop. Something my grandmother always used to tell me was because I didn't have the easiest go either. But
Yeah.
something she would always tell me is, Vivian, everybody has something happen in their life. And for some people, that's when they're younger. And for some people, that's when they're mid-age. And for other people, it's when they're older. And you're
Yeah.
lucky that you're getting all of these like tobacco's, turbulences in your earlier adolescence, because that means that as you get older, it gets to be smoother. And I'm going to take that one step further. I really do believe that the people who go through what we see as a challenge at a younger age are the teachers, healers, and change makers, because we learn at a young age what it all means, how to help other people, and then we go out there and inspire. And so when we talk about like, am I good enough, or something that we have to really pay attention to, right? Because like you said, you're not the unicorn. It's you have to believe in you. You wanted that better life, and a part of you knew that it was there. And the universe gave you such an incredible gift of your child, your daughter, because she was your motivator. And sometimes we could look at our motivator as like the worst thing ever, as a problem. Like, why the hell now? Why me? Right? We could be in victim, but what we don't realize, it's our greatest gift. And like you said, the theme almost of this podcast episode is the mess becomes the message. In Kabbalah, they say that the solution is always created before the problem, and the problem just gets us to where we're meant to be. It only shows up when we're not on the right track.
Ooh, that
And
gives me goosebumps. I love that.
yes, so it's like sometimes we see the thing in our life as annoying, as frustrating, as why the F me? And the longer we play victim, the longer we have to sit in the darkness. But as soon as we realize, like, holy shit, everything in my life is happening for me, for my greatest success, for my benefit, we look at this thing that we could see as darkness with rose-colored glasses. We're like, wait a second, how is this actually benefiting me and helping me? How can I use this as my superpower? And then we shift onto the timeline where this thing that we once saw as darkness is actually our biggest gift. It's our light. It's our purpose. It's bringing us to the message that we're meant to deliver.
Ooh, I love that. And it's so true. And I forget who said this. I think it was Stephen Hawking. He said you can't connect the dots until you're looking backward or something along the lines of that. And it's like you truly cannot see why these, trials and tribulations are happening. And then you look back and you're like, thank God that happened. Like all of my clients who have come to me heartbroken and then manifested their epic love affair, they look back, and I always tell them in the beginning, I'm like, you're going to think that I am so annoying for saying this, but this is going to be the best thing that's ever happened to you. And of course, it's annoying at first when you hear it. And then they always tell me, they're like, Morgan, I am so grateful I got cheated on. Morgan, I am so grateful that he left me. I'm so grateful this happened. And I'm like, I know. And you can't see it until, you kind of get over that hump of what's happened.
Amen. What are your clients' biggest resisting points? Three of their biggest resisting points when they come see you.
I think that the biggest myths that they have is that, I mean, luckily I meet a lot of amazing women who are so willing to just be open-minded. And it's like, can this really happen for me? Can it really happen that quick? And can it really be that good? Right.
Mhm.
And so that's what I've heard a lot. And what's really beautiful is I have a group coaching program where there are clients at all levels. Right. And so my clients who are coming in, who are healing from maybe a heartbreak, they're seeing another client who did manifest their partner. And they actually like my clients like thank each other for being like, thank you for showing me that this is possible. Thank you for sharing how your boyfriend, your fiance treats you, because now I know that that's actually out there and it's not just, these coaches saying it online, because it really does. I mean, I think people cannot be transparent online. I try to be as transparent about as possible about the truth of it all. But for women to be able to see that and say, oh, like somebody treating me like that really is possible. I never knew that there were men out there that would be so affectionate and so protecting and so caring and loving and all of the things, who want to spoil you and take care of you. With their love and the way they show up for you. And so I would say like those points would be their biggest resistors is like, can it really be that good?
Such a big one. Can it actually be that good? Before we break that down, I just want to point out why having a group together manifesting love could be so much more powerful than an individual. Because I think people have a lot of hesitancy around groups. They're like, oh, like I don't want people to judge me or this or that. When
Mhm.
in reality, you guys are all just mirroring off each other and expanding each other. But back to the concept of like, does it really get to be that good? Because I do have clients show up on call number one being like, but I'm having a hard time actually believing that it could be that good. And I think that that limiting belief comes from, is directly linked to their childhood, not having anybody in their immediate life that is embodying and living out a lifestyle where it gets to be that good. And so it's a good reminder to show them you're actually going to be the pattern breaker, the cycle breaker, and you're going to get to show generations upon generations what gets to happen when you choose you, when you choose a life that's better. Because, like you said, your motivator, which shifted you out, Morgan, specifically from the darkness into reclaiming your life, was I deserve for a better life.
Mhm.
And I think once we move out of, is this possible to, you know what, fuck that. I deserve it, so I'm going to make it happen. And then
Yeah.
that's when everything changes.
Absolutely. And it's also about priming our nervous system to
Hmm.
be able to hold that capacity, right? Of it can be this good. Let's see how good it can get because they only have such a limiting capacity of how good things can get. Again, from childhood, from their past experiences, they only know what's familiar and what they've experienced. And so when you're saying, no, you can really have this, it's hard for them to believe at first because it's never happened before. But
Mm.
as they heal the relationship to themselves and they start, expanding that capacity of happiness, joy, self-love, confidence, and magical moments too, because my clients manifest a lot of little miracles in their life and big miracles in their life, as a side benefit of healing their relationship patterns. They are stretching their capacity to receive and to be loved.
Mm. It's funny because I always say that miracles are natural, they're not rare. We
Mhm.
just take a lot of shit for granted. Like you woke up this morning, that's a miracle. You were born. You know what it took for you to be born? You had to win the sperm race. Like it's a miracle. It's 1 in a billion. And we are often like, well, that would take a miracle. Well, girl, it's not that hard. Look around. It's not that crazy. And I just want to highlight, you said when people start working on the relationships, they're manifesting these miracles. And the reason why, from a manifestation standpoint, is because every single thing that we manifest in our life and how long it takes for us to manifest it is directly linked to two things: our relationship with ourselves and our relationship with the thing we're manifesting. And so when we build up our relationship with self, then it becomes so much easier and so much quicker to manifest everything else. And that's why it's all coming a long way easier.
I love that you said that because it's so, so true. It's like if you're pushing and forcing and you have this negative relationship with yourself, you're shaming yourself, you're beating yourself up for not getting to the thing, that's not going to work.
Mm-mm. I always say in this manifestation spiritual world, we're constantly bombarded with like, get into a high frequency, get into a high vibration. But like, what the F does that mean? Like, how the hell am I supposed to get into a high vibration? Like, do I hum? Because like when I think of vibe, I'm like, like how do I do that? But like in really simple scientific words, all it means is to raise your self-worth. As you
Yeah.
raise your self-worth, you raise your frequency, which is the energy, the vibrations that you are radiating. And that radiation, right, that energetic body is what magnetizes, brings forth, attracts what
Yeah.
you're calling in. And what you're calling in has to be on the same level of self-worth that you are on. So as you raise your self-worth,
Yeah.
you raise the types of people and potential romantic partners that come into your life. One thing that you said that I'm obsessed with is that we must prime our nervous system.
Mm.
And so, are there any tips and tricks that you want to give on how to do that?
Absolutely. So I always talk about there's a couple different things. I think nervous system regulation is one of the most absolute important things that we need to do first and foremost on this journey. And so the way that I like to do that is I enjoy Wim Hof breathing. That really helps me regulate my nervous system, slowing the fuck down. Okay, so I know that this is really hard for us entrepreneurs, our career driven women. Slowing the fuck down is a big thing because that's where your nervous system heals. I was the woman who was constantly walking so fast, doing everything so fast, eating so fast, and just trying to do everything. And what I teach my clients is really romanticizing their life, which means slowing down, making every moment more romantic. So eating slower, having more slow moments. So you're walking slower. You are maybe in the shower, you're soaping your body up and you're taking time to feel all of your body. It's those simple practices that can be really life changing the more that you do them. So, of course, I'm a fan of meditation, breath work. However, those things you're only doing 10 minutes a day. Some people are 45 minutes a day. I used to meditate for 45 minutes a day. I don't anymore, but it's about more of like who you're being, what your dominant vibration is, right? And so nervous system healing is going to be about what you're doing most often, right? And so that's why I'm saying like it has to be more of an embodiment than like a meditation once a day.
Mm.
So it's who you're being in those moments. Who are you being when you're rushed? Who are you being when you're taking time for yourself? So I would say that, and then also priming your nervous system for receiving. So receiving is a huge part of manifesting your epic love affair, which women can be pretty terrible at, if I'm being honest. And I used to be terrible at receiving as well, because we tend to be the overgivers, the overdoers, the overextenders, because women are incredible and we can do a lot of things. However, a lot of us are burnt out and we're resentful and we're pretty stretched to our capacity. And so that's why love can feel like, oh my gosh, I can't even think about putting my energy there right now.
Mm.
When you're allowing yourself to receive a compliment, you're priming your nervous system. When you're allowing people to hold you in your vulnerability, and I don't mean trauma dumping, I mean sharing your feelings, whether they are feel good feelings or sad feelings or angry feelings, like being able to allow someone to hold you in that. Of course, you're not making them wrong, you're not blaming them or anything like that, but to be able to receive their support.
Mm.
That is what will prime your nervous system for healthy high value men to come in, because truly high value men want to give to you. And if you are shut off from receiving, then they don't have that inclination to continue to move forward to you. Men want to be, they want to be received by you. And so you have to receive them, right?
Yes, and I love, love, love that we're talking about the topic of receiving and being a woman and high achievers because like you, I work with high achieving women. And what a lot of people don't recognize is that the that receiving, first of all, is an action, right? It's not a passive thing. Receiving is a verb, it's a doing. And second of all, receiving is the feminine energy. If we think about sex, for example, the woman is a receiver, she's not the giver. However, like you said, a woman, because we are so incredible, is really used to giving, providing. We get to nurture our families, we get to support our husbands and our partners. So sometimes when we are that high achiever and we're always go, 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 we forget how to lean on people. We forget how to receive support, receive help. A common symptom of this is like being a business owner and not thinking anybody is good enough to delegate any of your work to,
Mhm.
right? Because you have a problem trusting everybody else. Only you are perfect. Only you could get the job done. You've always relied on yourself. Again, this comes from a lot of inner child and things that happened in your childhood. However, to receive, you must be in your feminine. right?
Yeah.
You have to tap into that feminine energy. And so I love what you said about romanticizing your day. Like when you put your creams on after your shower, romanticizing that. It's funny because receiving is the feminine, but a lot of us, even though we are women, we're not in our feminine energy. Like just think about when somebody's like, "Oh, I got the bill." You're like, "No, no, 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 no." But that person is like actually trying, like she wants to do it. It's a gift. Or like somebody compliments you, like you said, and you can't even receive it. You feel embarrassed. Oh, I have to return it. So like even just practicing receiving a compliment without giving it back.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that we really, really have to highlight is if you are afraid to receive, then you're going to be really afraid to give. And
Yeah.
you're not going to make the impact, and you're not going to get the things, and you're not going to be able to do the things that you really want to do because you're blocked off.
That is so true. And I see that so often. It's like hyper independent women. I mean, they will burn themselves out and they will not put themselves first. It's either their business is the most important, their kids are the most important, whatever man they're involved with is most important. And that is a one-way ticket to burnout and complete deprivation. So what we get to focus on is really pouring into ourselves, and we can receive from ourselves. And I think that's important to note too, because I've had women be like, I've never received before. And it's like, well, how can you start giving to yourself where you can fully receive it? And that is where you are putting yourself first. And, I
Mm.
work with a lot of women who have struggled with hyper independence, myself included. Gosh, I was like the most hyper independent bitch on the planet, raising a daughter by myself, running a business by myself, and all the things. And we have to trust ourselves enough to be able to handle if someone disappoints us, right? So it's like we
Mm.
have to trust ourselves to allow ourselves to receive and to receive help. And if the person doesn't deliver, then we can handle it. Because a lot of the times we're so scared to ask for help or to receive from people because we don't want to feel disappointed if they don't follow through.
Amen. Yes, that is so, so, so freaking true. We have to trust ourselves and we have to be okay. I call this unconditional confidence, which is no
Love.
matter what anybody does on the outside of you, no matter what happens outside of you, you're going to be okay anyway because you're unshakable. Your inner world is so strong. Your relationship with self is so strong that nothing could break you. Nothing
Yeah.
could break you or make you aside yourself. So I really love that you highlighted that. And the
Yeah.
other thing about receiving is I always come back to the airplane tutorial where they're like, if you don't put the oxygen mask on first, you won't have time to put it on the other person.
Yeah.
You cannot give if you do not have.
Yep.
And in order to receive the type of relationship that you want from somebody else, you must become that person.
Yes.
You must do all those things first. So, like, I have this client who's like, I want him to send me flowers every single weekend. So I'm like, well, do you do that for yourself? And she's like, no. I'm like, well, you set the standard. If he sees that you're buying yourself flowers every week, he's going to be like, wait a second. Why is she doing this for herself? Let me take over.
Yeah.
You set the standard by how you treat yourself.
Yeah, that's 1,000% true. Because if you're treating yourself like you don't matter, even if somebody's not consciously being like, "Oh, she doesn't treat herself, she doesn't matter," it's subconscious. They're like, "Oh, I'm going to treat her the way I see her treating herself."
Yep. I'll never forget. You just took me back, but I was a gymnastics coach for a while, and I remember overhearing like these young girls, they must have been in like fourth or fifth grade, maybe fifth grade. And they're telling their mom, like, so and so in our grade, like, she always acts like a princess, she acts like a queen, and everybody loves her. And the mother was just like, you know why? Because she treats herself like that.
Yeah,
Because she takes the time, and she like does that self-care routine and she loves herself. And
yeah,
first of all, props to that mother for responding in that way.
yeah,
But I remember it really hitting me like that is so true. These these women, these people who walk into the room and everybody is just so drawn to, and we don't necessarily why, it's because they have this unconditional confidence. It's like they treat themselves like the queen, like the goddess, and that vibration, that frequency, that high self-worth radiates the room and they become magnetic.
Yeah.
And so how you treat yourself literally determines your frequency.
And you can see by the men that you're attracting your level of self-worth. And I think it's so fun to actually look back at my experiences and see how my self-worth was raising and raising and raising and raising as I looked at the types of men that I was attracting. And it's really amazing for my clients to see that too, because we're like, okay, so these are the types of men that you're attracting now. And then like a month later, we're looking at the men that they're attracting now, and it's completely different. It's like, oh my gosh. So I have one client, she's incredible. She was the mother, the mothering woman, the overgiver, all the things. And she would attract these men. I mean, she had a history of like really toxic and narcissistic relationships, but when she started dating, she would go on these dates with these men that wouldn't even buy her a coffee. And again, it's not about like buying things, but it's the effort that they're putting in. They were putting in zero effort, and now she's got like 5 guys who are putting in high effort for her. They are putting effort and thought into the dates that they're taking her on. They want to make her happy and all the things. And so it really goes to show how much your self-worth can impacts what you experience in your external world.
Yes. And how she was able to really reprogram her ability to receive
Oh yeah.
and her nervous system. I love that. Okay. So now you are this incredible love coach. And because we are on visions, missions, and manifestations, I'd like for you to please share what is your big vision?
I have different avenues that I want to incorporate down the line, but my biggest thing is I want my work to be so accessible to as many women as possible so that they can ultimately heal their life, heal, their generations, and have their kids grow up to have healthy, loving relationships as well. And so I would love to be able to expand into doing in-person retreats. And Mike and I, my fiance, have played with talking about like putting on retreats for men and women together. And so we've played with that idea in the future. Another dream that I really have is being able to have an organization for women who are being abused in the court system by their, narcissistic exes, toxic exes, because as we all know, whoever has the most money in the court system wins. And so I'd love to be able to provide financial resources to those women who don't have it. And I'd love to have my courses literally everywhere
Yeah.
for women of all, you know, financial spaces. So that's kind of the vision that I have for what I have going on in the future.
Wow, I'm obsessed with it. Wow. And in your personal life, is there something that you're manifesting that you'd like to share?
My whole wedding being paid for.
Oh, yes.
Reached a big part of that goal. That was just something fun I wanted to play with. I'm also manifesting my health. I'm healing from breast implant illness. So I got my breast implants removed in November of 2024. So I'm manifesting my healing there. I'm also manifesting a baby in the next year.
I'm obsessed. I just want you to know how incredible you are. Like, first of all, you've already healed so much. And I know that because we spoke personally. Like, you're still on your healing journey, but you've really made it such a long way. And
Yeah.
I feel like you embody this unshakable energy, this unconditional confidence where, like, no matter what the fuck is going on, no matter what doctor tells you, no matter what, like, this inner voice of, like, I'm not worthy or deserve, like, you show up anyway and you freaking crush it in every single thing that you put your mind to. And it's so inspiring and it's so, like, incredible to watch somebody go from literally the worst, the nothingness, to the everythingness, to the best, to the like, you know what? I don't care. I'm doing it anyway. You know what? I don't care. I'm amazing anyway. Even though, whatever, I still love myself. I'm still going to show up for myself. I'm going to be the best freaking role model for my daughter. I'm going to be the best freaking role model for women everywhere. And it's just so brave. It's so all the things. And I'm so freaking proud of you, and I'm so honored to have met you.
Yes, Vivian, thank you so much for saying that because when we met, it was like, so I'm a little shy at first, and Vivian just, she looks behind her at the pool and she sees me. She's like, "Come sit up here." And the moment that we started talking, I was just like, this is a soul connection for sure. And so I appreciate you so much, and I think you are so incredible. The work that you do is incredible, but also your heart is
Oh.
incredible. You have literally the best heart.
For the listener who's like, I need to sign up with Morgan now, like, I need to be in her world. She's so magnetic. She's so powerful. I want to learn how to love the same way that she teaches all of these women to love. How can they begin working with you?
Sure. So I have multiple different tiers wherever you're at. I have my Magnetism Mastery bundle that is selling on my Instagram account. It's $97. It's incredible. I have all the details there. And then I also have my Empowered Academy group coaching program. I have tiers for whatever budget you have right now to be able to ultimately, again, break the toxic relationship cycle and create the most epic love affair of your life. And then, of course, I have my one-on-one coaching program where if you want high touch, working with me one-to-one, then you can receive that as well. And so on my Instagram and on my Facebook, my name is Morgan Danielle. So you can find me there. And I also have a free Facebook group called Break the Cycle.
Hell motherfucking yes. I'm going to put that link in the show notes so that if somebody's interested in working with you, they could get in touch with you ASAP. And just because this is a question I've been asking everybody on season 2 of the podcast, a bonus question with you, Morgan, because we just can't get enough. If you could go for dinner with anybody, dead or alive, fictional or real, who would it be and why?
Hmm. Carl Jung, because he had a quote that changed my life, and it said, "Until the unconscious becomes conscious, it will run your life and you will call it fate." And that is something that has stuck with me for so long. And it's the truth. We think that we're destined for pain, for bad relationships, for money woes, all the things, but it's our unconscious patterns. And when I heard that, it's like, it gives you a whole new perspective on life and how you actually can take the reins back.
Love that. Love that. And that's so perfect for who you are as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for doing this with me. This has been so much fun.
Hey, if you like this podcast episode, please download it, give us a nice review, and follow us on Instagram at Journey with VRD to get all the latest and the greatest updates. Till next week.